Astronomy Live, Dazza the Cameraman, and Waptek apparently have backdoors to the Navy SECCHI satellite system. Because I can retrieve this redacted super secret image, according to WSO Steve Olson. Because they replaced it, you look at the time and date stamp down there, it ends in 22/09/21, and here we get the same image, and of course it looks less scary, apparently. Now I want to show the overdrive of it. Mercury, Mars, and Venus, Pluto, and Saturn. And that big bright blotch, not the bullet you're looking at, ignore the bullet. And then we see it with this level of contrast. Venus is still an overdriven light source because it's very close to the sun. The sun is on to the left, outside of the field of view, because if it was within field of view, you couldn't see any of these stars or anything. This is supposed to look at the disk of our solar system, out to Saturn. It doesn't point to where Saturn is, but someone has decided, WSO Steve Olson, to create a bullcrap, half-built conspiracy theory. I don't know, I'm just throwing stuff on the wall and see if it'll stick. Saying that somehow there's a bullet or something there, or that they're hiding something. WSO Steve Olson wants you to believe the Navy SECCHI footage was redacted. If you actually look at the directory structure it contains, you find hundreds of examples of this because both images are different contrast and histogram levels. Now, unless you do image processing, you don't know about this, but this is really simple. One of them mentioned 8-bit image quality on a computer screen. But I can look at a 24-bit image. Yes, because it's color. You see, instead of the brightness level being 20, literally 16 million to 1, that's 24 bits, which is what this thing actually records. It records the entire image brightness depth as best it can. Your monitor is only capable of, most computer monitors, actually all of them, are only capable to work with maybe 256 to 1 or 500 to 1 ratio of black versus light. For instance, in this image versus this image, this is like HDR imaging. Go look that up. It's where they deliberately bend the color range to fit it on your screen so you can see it. This is the best they can do, quick processing, and it's informative. It shows you where the dots are. It shows you where the stars and planets are. That's what it's for. And it's that way it can monitor over months and months what moves and what doesn't move, so you can definitely confirm it's a planet or an asteroid. See, there's more important things here than creating fantasy stories. Now, anyway, WSO Steve Olson wants you to believe the footage was redacted or something, and he keeps changing his story and alluding to things. He says, I'm looking here and I can't find the other image. Okay, well, it took me literally a minute and a half to find both of these, and I got it wrong originally because I clicked the ones that look similar. A lot of them look like this because this is what they always look like. These are two versions of the same file. It just doesn't say A and B or tell you the histogram function. I'd like them to do that because I'd love to be able to reproduce it. They have raw data so that you can build these images if you want to. But I want to point out the overblown level of Venus. Now, what if this included the Earth and Moon? When this was much closer to the Earth and Moon, it would actually overdrive the image too much. And yes, they're in the wrong order because it's looking across the disk of our solar system. Even the position of the planets are a little bit off by this estimate. And this is oversimplified as hell. But anyway, we're going to get on to the next image here so I don't waste so much time. So you want everyone to guess and speculate that the Navy covers all this up the best they can because you all dare to question them, like they're really monitoring your YouTube channel. The only people who paid attention were other astronomy buffs and geeks like me who are used to you posting things that aren't true. This is checking, I'm assuming at this point, angle of light incidence compared to the camera. And you notice there's the thing that's supposed to block out the moon and the Earth. And you notice the blowover levels. This is a test in a lab. And then once it gets at a different angle, it actually does this. So depending on the angle that the sun is apparently at, it's going to be really good contrast or really garbage. That's what that little blockout's for. The ideal is this, I guess, for one idea. But these and these, I would assume, are ideals. You'll find out which one is if you want to look it up. I'm going to include links to the PDF. And I'd like to point out something. People who claim the whole idea, the whole meme of never a straight answer, NASA, they put up literally enough information for you to build one of these, and if you want to, you can learn, if you want to, how to build the rockets to put stuff in space. And there are private companies doing the same thing. Do you really believe they're trying to hide something from you when they're handing you the manual on how to build it? The only thing they don't do is give you the passwords and logins so you can break into it and turn it off. No, the Navy, and they're not covering anything up. It's called the Earth Occulter, a really terrible name when you're dealing with, I'm sorry, but dear scientists out there, stop using words that would appeal to the spidey sense of all these idiots. Anyway, this is an image, and I'm going to point out a couple of things. Black enclosure painted with Z307 paint. This is black. This thing here that's darker than black, but still spotty, is called the Vel Black panel. I'm assuming it's a velvet black. There's a type of material you line telescopes with. I actually used some of that once. And this is the effect that the Earth Occulter, or the Earth Blocker or Occluder, does. It prevents the blowover of light from actually doing anything. This is one of the test images. They were using a high-powered laser beam. It was in a vacuum container. For crying out loud, this is the effect of how sensitive the damn thing is, and that's dead black. And it still looks like white. Now do you understand why you get the blowover and bloom, and most importantly, lens flare effects going behind the Earth Occulter? Okay, now remember I just said it goes behind it. It's a lens flare effect. So let's look at the image. This is with it going behind the occulter, and this is the image compensated one to make it look more like what you would see. And it's an out of focus thing that's really close to the lens, trying to keep it from overdriving the CCD imager. And here's the Earth Occulter. None of this is really complicated. I mean, it really shouldn't be. And yes, some of the images have it flipped the other way around. Let's review. But all that is just to obfuscate the weird object that seems to distort light in space. You know, some sort of, what did he called it a primer field or something. No, it's a little thingy stuck in front of the lens to block out a light source. You know, like your thumb in front of a camera. Yeah, it's not really complicated, Steve. So anyway, we'll go to this one. Some are really, really upset and frustrated, specifically these guys, about the pictures like this one that says that, gee, there's two of them, and they're at Lagrange points. One's chasing the Earth and one's ahead of the Earth. And there's the field of view they have. And that means that they have to have an Earth Occulter on different sides. Some of the images have it flipped. But you're not supposed to find these links. I'm going to include links to all of this. Did Steve Olson include a bunch of links and explanatory data? Only later he brought up some images like this, where he showed what it is, but he didn't show any details. This is like the interior of a camera, but because it's in space, they just expose it this way. And I want you to notice something here. There's a radiator for the CCD cooler to bring it down to incredibly low temperature. It's called the Heliospheric Imager Design Concept. There's two cameras in this thing. The direction of light is supposed to be from the bottom, and it still overdrives it. And it can overdrive it to the point that it messes up the CCD imager. Here's the cross-sectional design of it, view of it, how they overlap. One's 70 degrees, one's 20 degrees. And they're supposed to aim roughly at the right angles, and they're supposed to not look at the sun. So this would be, in this position, this would be the one on the left orbiting the sun. Let me get that image back up here if I can find it. Yeah, it would be on the left. We'll just assume, we'll just use that for argument. So it would be looking at 70-degree angle to see all that. See? And then, well, if that's where the sun is, then the occulter has to be over here somewhere. Oh, look. A thingy. No, they're covering up Saturn because Saturn's the sign of the Satan or whatever. If you look through the images archive, you'll find out that it doesn't always cover the same planets because it's in a fixed position. The planets are not. So, Steve Olson, are you going to show your victims the links to the non-redacted images you claimed you couldn't find? Since many of us have posted links to you and shown some of your viewers where the images are. Some of them are in the know and they know that they don't care where the images are. They just want to push this as a meme and be a bunch of little trolls saying stuff. Are you going to post a retraction and admit you obfuscated all this? Or that you just flat out lied? Some people actually noticed that one of your videos you show that you can actually navigate these directories well. Then you claim that you can't find things. Can you find the stereo high 2 and the stereo high 2 stars directory? Well, high stars and high. There's A and B for each of the different satellites. Now, look, they even use thumbnails. This one's more recent, but these are the thumbnails that were up that day. So literally, you could find them right there on the page that day. Anyway, here's the index for one of them, and here's the other. But where are the images? Well, they keep using the same, I'm sorry, but dear NASA, stop trying to be web designers. They're using, you know, not the same, but very, okay, basically it is the same thumbnails. But you notice that this directory structure showed up on the left that's a little bit more expanded. Right-click. This frame, you can bookmark it, or show only the frame, which is what I normally do, or open frame and new tab, not window. What do you get? You get the directory structure for both of these. They're different structures. High stars A, high A. And then it has the time and date stamp. If you change that time and date stamp right there, it changes to a different day. That's how I found it too. And here's the image. And here's the other image. Now let's make that a little bit more palatable. The images I start out with are still up. They were put up on the 2nd of this month. They're still up. There's the bullet in the blue sky over Saturn image, and there's the other. They were never redacted. They were never erased. It was a lie. You were lied to by WSO Steve Olson because he was told repeatedly how to find these. I'm just including another layer. I'm telling you how to find the damn menu all by itself over here so that you don't have to deal with the web page version. And you can change the time and date stamp anytime you want to. You can look at all of them. You can explore this and find out you're not being lied to. Again, it is not NASA is always is never a straight answer. NASA is always a straight answer. They always are, because the whole point of it is if they lie to anybody, they get caught fast. Because people like me, I'll track it down. Review. Astronomy Live and Dazza did not get a backdoor. That is a bullshit attempt by WSO Steve Olson. He's an idiot. He wants you to believe the Navy was redacting footage, or the government, or the New World Order. He's feeding into some narrative. He's telling you stories. If you like that, that's fine. But don't complain when an actual astronomer shows up and posts a bunch of links to you. We've learned to post it to your viewers so that they can find out that they've been lied to. I've gotten some of his subscribers to come over and watch my channel. They're watching now. The whole point of this is so you'll guess and speculate, keeping you ignorant, saying that there's some sort of cover-up when the information is still up as of now and was never taken down, and saying it obfuscated a weird object that seems to store light in space when it's literally just covering up a part of the sky because at the time it was put in place, and what it was for, it was to cover up the moon and the earth because they were very bright as it left so that they could do testing. They are very upset about anybody posting anything about this, and he's gone to the trouble of threatening to shut down people's channels, which is his go-to behavior. He wants you to share his videos, and he wants you to hit his subscribe button, and most importantly, he wants you to hit that button that'll get him PayPal donations, because that's what he's about. He changed it from being just a PayPal donation button to actually pointing to the directory structure and saying, I don't know, I'm just asking questions, I'm just throwing stuff on the wall and seeing what sticks. You know, like sort of like a fan and a turd. The Stereo High 2 directory and Stereo High 2 Stars directories are only slightly different named, and yeah, I am upset by their web design too. Big whoopin' deal. He was handed the links to everything, except, honestly, this video is I'm now pushing it to the limit where literally there's a stack of archives. I told him I'd be doing a video about him obfuscating this, and I told him he could post a retraction or post links and admit that he found out that it was never redacted and he simply made a mistake. He's been told that repeatedly, I found out, so screw that. He knows they're never redacted. He knows he was lying. He didn't make a mistake. This is like the umpteenth time he's feigned ignorance. I don't believe he's able to be ignorant. I don't think he ever does anything ignorant. I'm just kidding. Anyway, I'd like to point out that archive.org won't look at the Navy.mil page because they've set robots equals no, because they consider archive.org to be a siphoner of information, which is what it's for. So I had to use archive.il, or li, excuse me. You can also put in archive.is, so it says archive is, Simon says, and put in the IDs. I'm also going to include direct links to those directory structures and to those images. I encourage you to aim him at this video so that he can false flag the hell out of it and DMCA takedown me. Now again, this is the image that he says was used to replace this image here, but they both exist, they're easily found, and no attempt was made at any time to prevent people from finding this information. There is no deception going on at that end. All of it is with WSO Steve Olson. So thanks for watching, have a good day, and I hope you enjoyed our little bullet in the blue sky today.